went away, postponed to some far-away future. The formula became very simple. Stay safe and keeping the work going as best as possible.
Miss Sita Raman had an equally simple task for the budget. Spend a lot of money and just borrow what's needed. In terms of overall direction, this must have been the simplest budget in the years. For the first time in living memory, there was hardly any need for a fiscal high-wire act. The revised fiscal deficit estimated 9.5% for 2021-22.
That's a number that would have had most analysts flutter and foam in the mouth a year ago. And yet, in the first few hours after the budget, I did not hear even a single comment about it.
Now, we would like to present a PowerPoint presentation to give an insight of the budget 2020-21-22.
I would like you all to pay attention on the presentation, as we will have a questionnaire round based on it, and you can note down the important points.
Move it to next slide. Yeah, move after
announced by our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman dated 1st February 2021. The budget is expected to provide impetus to investment, increase in government spending, clarification on digital tax, and many more. Talking about the fiscal deficit, while presenting the union budget, the Finance Minister shared about the weak revenue inflow for the government during the year. She proposed capital expenditure of government providing 5.54 lakh crore, that is 34.5% more than the annual budget estimate of 2021. So this measure is estimated to uplift the figures. Moving on to the custom duties, cell phones are likely to be costlier. As announced, some mobile parts or components will be subjected to moderate custom duty. Custom duty on some automobile parts to be increased by 15% and custom duty on gold and silver to be rationalized. Excise duty and taxes. India is considering hiking import duties of 5% to 10% on more than 50 items, including smartphones, electric components, and appliances. The move to increase import duties is part of PM Narendra Modi's Self-Reliant India campaign that aims to promote and support domestic manufacturing. Now last, the subsidies. The union budget of 2021 focuses on the massive subsidization of food, fertilizers, crop loans. My apologies. So it seems that the subsidies is the story of agri-food space. In earlier budgets, the fiscal deficit figures were under provision. So this measure shall prove to help in redeeming the FCI borrowers. Thank you.
Very well spoken, sir. With this, I would like to call Sanskrit Saxena from class 12C.
Good morning to one and all present here. Talking about the budget of 2021, the first topic that comes to my mind is GST. This year, the government is planning upon an artificial intelligence system that will help us with the tax evaders and fake healers. With this, there is also going to be a new electronic digital invoice system with little SMS charge. Moving forward on the defense, there is going to be a 1.4% hike and 19% capital outlay increase. There is also 20,774 crores increase in the military hardware. Moving forward on my next topic, pensions. The pensioners above the age of 75-year-old are not going to pay income tax returns. The bank will cut off the charges on their pensions. Lastly, the corporation tax. Last year, the government cut off 15% decrease for making global competitive market. This year, there is going to be no certain changes in the corporation tax. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me such opportunity.
Thank you, Sanskrit. It was a pleasure to listen to your views. With that, we would like to move on with the next speaker, that is Anshula Zaveria from class 12C.
Good morning, everyone. Starting with my first topic from the latest budget in 2021 and 22, the total expenditure on subsidies is estimated to be 369,899 crores. This is due to the higher allocation over the food subsidies, and it is estimated that it will increase by 19% over 2019 and 20. The budget for food subsidies is set at 2.43 lakhs crores. 2.87 crores. Mission Portion 2.0. It aims to strengthen nutritional content and delivery outreach. Now ending with my last topic, GDP growth in India. In financial year 2019 and 20, the expected GDP growth rate was 4%, whereas now the expected GDP growth rate is 14.4%. That is the real growth and inflation. Thank you.
Thank you, officer. It was a clear and factual analysis. With this, I would like to call Tanisha from class 11E.
Good morning to one and all present here. I am Tanisha Chandra from class 11E and I am here to discuss some provisions in the Union Budget 2021. One of the major highlights is that senior citizens over the age of 75 years having interest and pension as their only income have been exempted from filing tax returns. Secondly, non-tax revenue is expected to rise by 11.4% as over the estimates of 2019 and 20 to 3,85,017 crores. As far as corporate taxes are concerned, the Union Budget proposes to reduce the time limit for reopening of past assessment cases from existing 6 years to 3 years, except for serious tax evasion cases. It also emphasizes on a faceless income tax appellate tribunal center, where all communication regarding tax cases shall be held digitally, even hearings if needed. Moreover, a dispute resolution committee for small taxpayers with the limit of an annual income of 50 lakhs and disputes of 10 lakhs will also be established. To add on to this, there is an increase in the threshold for requirement of tax audit from 5 crores to 10 crores for companies that do their substantial business digitally. As a step to ease the process of filing tax returns, forms shall come pre-filled with data such as profits and dividends on listed securities, interest from post offices, etc. As far as defense budget is concerned, it includes an increase in the outlay for payment of pensions to rupees 4.78 lakh crore as against last year's 4.71 lakh crore. Union budget has brought about some serious changes to revive the Indian economy. Thank you. Thank you, Tanisha. Very well spoken. With that, I would like to call Sumit Pandey from 11th E.
Good morning, everyone. So my topics from Budget 2020 are GST, which is Good Service Tax. In GST, it is said that it will expand the scope of supply to include activities or transactions of supply of goods or services or both by any person. And which is our ITC Imperial Tobacco Company would not be available to the recipient if the details of such invoice has not been furnished by the supplier. It also seeks to increase the payment of penalty for releasing of detained or seized goods and convenience. So this was from GST. The second one is defense. Defense budget has been increased to rupees 4.78 lakh crores for 2021 to 2022, as against last year's allegations of rupees 4.71 lakh crore. And there is also an interesting part in defense that there is around 100 crores has been set aside for capital expenditure that include purchasing new weapons, aircraft, military hardware. The third topic is pensions. Pensioners above 75 years of age will no longer have to file income tax returns. However, in counter of this relaxation, this year the defense pension allocation has been cut in the budget, thereby decreasing the outlay of one rank, one pension scheme. Third, through the affected class might have a grievance that have been left marginalized there it needs to be seen in spirit that this year the primary objective of the government is to bring the pandemic crippled economy back on track. And the last topic is GDP, gross domestic product. It tells that the real GDP growth of 10% to 10.5% in this coming year, and it will multiply the effect of infrastructure push for jobs and employment. There will be push for healthcare spending also. It will reduce the fiscal deficit from an estimated 9.5% of GDP this year without raising the tax burden. Thank you.
Thank you so much, very well spoken. Now I would like to call subject 0 class 11E.
Good morning, everyone. The first one I would like to talk about is of fiscal deficit. And before we go deep into the details, I would like to apprise you all of what fiscal deficit actually is. A fiscal deficit occurs when a government's total expenditures exceed the total revenue that it generates, excluding money from borrowings. Fiscal deficit may be a bit higher this year at 6.8%, but the overall perspective of the government is to boost the development, particularly in the infrastructure sector, which leads to an increased demand and supply in the long run. Plus, it will also generate some employment, and this will greatly help in bringing the economy back on track. The second sector I would like to talk about is that of pensions. This year, a big relief has been provided to all the pensioners above 75 years of age, as they will no longer have to file the income tax returns. However, in counter for this relaxation this year, the defense pension allocation has also been cut in the budget, thereby decreasing the outlay for one rank, one pension scheme. The third point I would like to talk about is that of central sector schemes. Regarding the central sector schemes as well as the centrally sponsored schemes, this year the PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana has been introduced with an outlay of around 64,180 crores spread over 6 years. This year, fortunately, the government has also given a boost to the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana with the announcement of an addition of 10 million beneficiaries during the year, wherein cooking gas connections shall be given free of cost to the women below poverty line. We will also witness an increase in the foreign direct investment in the insurance sector from 49% to 74%. The last point I would like to talk about is that of income tax. And for income tax, I think it's better that we divide the points or the details into merits and demerits as citizens. The merits are, the first point will be that the ITR form will now have a pre-filled information on dividend, interest and capital gains to ease compliance for individual taxpayers. Another merit is that there will be deduction of rupees 1.51 lakhs for interest on loans for affordable houses extended to loans sanctioned till 31st of March 2022. Now, the demerit. Interest on employees' share of contribution to Employees' Provident Fund, that is EPF, on or after April 1, 2021 will be taxable at the stage of withdrawal if it exceeds rupees 2.5 lakh in any year. This will lead to additional tax liability, especially for high net worth individuals who make higher contributions, and will also discourage voluntary provident fund contributions. But again, as we see that this step has been taken by the government to bring the pandemic crippled economy back on track. So I feel that this step is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a clear and factual analysis. With that, we would like to move on to the next speaker, that is Shabana from Deliberation.
Good morning to one and all present here. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her third Union Budget on February 1 under the shadows of coronavirus pandemic and protest against the centre's new farm laws. The theme for the direct tax proposal was simplification of the tax administration, ease of compliance and reduction of litigation. While the tax rates have been stated, the taxpayers' expectation of higher investment limit has not been fully addressed. The Finance Minister also proposed to review over 400 exemptions this year and said that every possible step would be taken structure further and remove anomalies such as inverted duty structure. Also, nominal GDP is expected to grow at a rate of 14.4%, which indicates real growth plus inflation in the year 2021-22. Talking about defense, a total of 1,35,060 crore has been set aside for capital expenditure. That includes purchasing new weapons, aircraft, warships, and other military hardware. The expert expressed satisfaction on the overall allocation, though they said India will have to gradually raise its defense deal to deal with increasing external threats. Thank you.
Thank you very much, it was very well spoken. Now I would like to call Matthew of class 11C.
Warm greetings to Reverend teachers and the esteemed audience. Myself, Matthew Gupta, I'm here to update you all with the provisions made in the Union Budget 2021-22 regarding income tax. One of the most significant provisions announced in the Union Budget of 2021-2022 is that an exemption has been provided to senior citizens above the age of 75 years of age for filing their income tax returns. But it must be noted that these senior citizens have not been exempted from paying tax. They have been exempted from filing an income tax return only in case it fulfills certain conditions. Talking about the conditions, the parameters are that the interest income must be earned in the same bank where the pension is deposited. This measure has been brought about so that ease of compliance can be there for senior citizens. One must know that though this provision has brought about great ease for these senior citizens, but it's actually not a practical provision because it's not possible for everybody to have their pension and interest in the same bank. One may have different bank accounts or one may have different irregular incomes also. So I think we have a long way to go to specify this provision more and improvise it. Another provision that has been made up for the common folks is that ITR form will now have pre-filled information about dividend, interest, and capital gains. This has been brought about to ease the compliance for individual taxpayers. Details of capital gains from listed securities, interest from banks, post office, etc. will also come pre-filled, thus simplifying the process of filing the ITR. Talking about the benefits of this measure is that the best thing about this measure is that the taxpayers won't be able to hide their income from the government and take extra exemptions which are not provided them legally from the government. Moreover, it will also allow the individual taxpayers to avoid running haywire to search about their various details, for example, the investment in various securities, etc., and thus it would ease everything for them. Moreover, the government has proposed to insert a new section 206AB in the Income Tax Act as a special provision providing for a higher rate of TDS for the non-filers of income tax return. The proposed TDS rate in this section will have twice the rate specified in the relevant provision of the Act, or twice the rate or rates imposed or the rate of 5%. One may take it as a penalty for the non-filers of the ITR. The government has also extended the additional tax deduction of Rs 1.5 lakh on interest paid on housing loan for the purchase of affordable homes by 1 more year to March 31st, 2022. The additional deduction of Rs 1.5 lakh over and above 2 lakh was introduced in the 2019 budget. This was allowed for those buying homes for the first time and of up to Rs 45 lakh cost. As I just said that this provision had already been introduced in the 2019 budget, we must know that the scheme has been extended by 1 year because the citizens could not take the benefit of this due to the COVID pandemic. Last but not the least, I would like to conclude by the change that needs to be taken into consideration the most, and that is that the last date to file a revised income tax return or belated return on a voluntary basis will now be December 31st. After after the close of the financial year, instead of March 31st, 2022. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you for your views, Nancy. With that, we would like to move on to the next speaker, that is Tushar Trivedi from class 10B.
Now, I, Jankipuram, would like to present my views on budget to 2021. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the budget in Parliament on 2nd February 2021. Currently, the total budget of India is expected to be around 30.42 lakh crore rupees, which is 12.7% higher than the revised estimate of 2019-20. Now, it is for the year 2021-22, it's most likely to be increased to 34.83 lakh crore rupees. Moving on to the next topic, I would like to discuss upon the state capital expenditure. Now, the state capital expenditure was around 4.12 trillion rupees, which is, according to Finance Minister, the capital expenditure was likely to end this year around 4.39 trillion rupees. As mentioned in the revised estimate of 2020-21, but the things did go as planned. Now, I would like to present my views on fiscal deficit. Now, fiscal deficit is the difference between government's total income and the expenditure made by them. Now, this year, the fiscal deficit was at 9.5%, which is targeted at 6.8% by the end of the year 2021-22. Now, lastly, I would like to discuss upon the defense budget 2021. Now, this year, the total defense budget was 4.78 lakh crore rupees, which is around 7 crore thousand higher than the year 2019-20, which was 4.71 lakh crore rupees. In this, 1.15 lakh crore rupees is taken as the pension, while the other 3.63 lakh crore rupees is kept as for other military use and services. Now, lastly, 20,776 crore rupees was spent by the Indian government on Ladakh, India-China standoff on Ladakh border. Thank you.
Thank you, Kushal. Very well spoken. Now, I would like to call Bhavya of class 10C.
Mary Nanju has said, and I quote, "A budget should reflect the values and priorities of the nation and its people." Warm good morning to everyone present here. Today I, Bhavya Shukla, going to put forward my points and opinions on the Indian Union Budget 2021 to 22. Number 1, the bread and the butter. Employment and education. This year, the government did not give much relief regarding the employment issue directly. However, the developments in the infrastructure sector will provide employment. A portal is to be launched to maintain information on gig and construction workers. In case you are wondering who gig workers are, they are basically those who deliver your Swiggy and Myntra stuff. In my opinion, this is an appreciable step by the government through which they can keep a check on the informal sector and also extend social security to them. Talking about education, 100 new SEND schools will be set up. 750 Eklavya schools will also be set up in tribal areas. The literacy rate in tribal areas is just 37.9%, and literacy is not education. A central university will come up in Delhi. This will help the Ladakhi students who are otherwise forced to travel hundreds of kilometers from their home to attain higher education. Number 2, the hot potato, privatization. In the words of Sridhar Simhara, if we have to cover the body of India with a cloth, we need the public sector. But now, India has enough clothes to wear. If India wants to be at the top, it must have some ornaments too. To make sure of that, we need the private sector in addition to the public sector. Many public sector undertakings, PSUs, have been reporting losses at continual basis. Many PSUs are overstaffed and the delay in implementation leads to cost escalation. However, this has another side too. Privatization many a times leads to monopoly. Like one company over the whole market and controls the price. The customer will pay at whatever cost the company decides. According to me, the government must set strict rules and regulations to avoid monopoly. Number 3, the plain sandwich, the middle classes. Straight to the point, no income tax relief for the middle classes this year. Unlike last year, in which the union budget proposed exemption of like Aadhaar card instead of PAN number, affordable house buyers were given tax incentives, etc. This year the budget is simple. Now, what is income tax return or ITR? It is a form which a person needs to fill and submit to the tax department. It contains information on a person's income and taxes to be paid during a particular financial year. This year, the budget has proposed exemption of paying taxes and filing income tax return for those who are 75 and above, who only have interest and pension income. Number 4, the delivery, infrastructure, the roads and the rails. The budget has proposed 100% electrification of the Indian railways by 2023. Also, metro service will be extended to 27 more cities. According to my standpoint, this will provide employment and help us in achieving our Atmanirbhar Bharat dream. Thus, the budget with the theme Ease of Living has focused considerably on medical, infrastructure and defense. That's all for today. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Bhavya. It was a pleasure to hear you. With that, we open the questionnaire session for you all. Oh, sorry. Okay, so next we have Neha Khan from 10C.
Good morning to everyone present over here today. I'm Neha Khan. I'm going to tell you about some issues
one product, one district basis. A. Manufacturing sector, B. Horticulture sector, C. Electronic sector, and D. Export sector. Yes? Yes, that's the right answer. Okay, the next question is, which scheme launched for conducting graduate level online exam in budget 2021? Anyone? We don't have options for this one, so you have to answer like that. Anyone? Should I repeat it? Which scheme launched for conducting graduate level online exam in budget 2021? Okay, so the answer is Study in India. That's the name of that scheme. Okay. How much money has been allocated on health sector budget 2021? The options are 69,000 crore, 50,000 crore, and 75,000 crore. Anyone? Okay, so the answer is 69,000. So the next question is, how many new army public schools will be built by the government? Yeah, that's the right answer. In budget 2021, government has decided to open controlled central university in which state or union territory? The options are Jammu and Kashmir, Leh, Himachal Pradesh. Okay? Yeah, that's the right answer. Okay, so we end up with our questionnaire session. Thank you for being a part of this session.
Good morning, students. And well, I have all praises because each one of the students sitting here spoke so well. And you know, it is not always about speaking well, it's about participating and having the spirit to, participate in such discussions. Because the amount of confidence this will give you will last very long, right? So, I would like to congratulate each one of you all that you all took the first step to come on the mic and speak. That itself requires a lot of courage. And also, all the audience sitting, at least you all were attentive audience. Listening is also a very important skill you need to have these days. So you all were very attentive and you all responded to questions, so well done, children. And I feel that in such discussions, deciding the best speaker actually is, you all were best, but still we have to, we have usually decide who has spoken the best, but each one of you, let me tell you, students, in knowledge you can't really say who is number one or number two, but each one of you were excellent, you all spoke very well, impeccable, but we have to select the best speaker, so for that I just call Asma ma'am. Asma ma'am, please come, and we'll just announce the best speaker.
Very good morning to everybody. Hopefully, audience enjoyed it. Yes or no? It's a difficult subject, budget. It bounces from our hand, but still, today really we had very nice views coming up from our young aspirants. Really we enjoyed it. So now it's time for the result. Everyone is a winner, but still we have a best speaker. From the audience, whom you did like best? Who spoke well? Yes? Yes.
So for the first time, the audience and the judges also felt the same.
No, everybody is a winner, but still the best speaker was Bhavya. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody. Now I request Anshul sir, he is also here to give his views to you all.
So children, Anshul, you all go up to Anshul sir, and Anshul sir actually gives very good information, and he is one learned person amongst us, so he will right now tell how he felt your event was and what are his views on it.
First of all, that was an exaggeration. A very good morning to all of you, and I was just curious at what's happening in this room, and to my surprise, I came to know that there are many future finance ministers sitting over here. And it was was such a nice thing to listen to such descriptive views. The analysis was in depth. You had taken a limited number of topics, though, but it was an initiative in the field of finance, understanding of fiscal deficit, income tax return, or such terms which are alien terms actually for common man. But you have taken an initiative, that's the basic thing, and this is really refreshing that students of class 11 and 12 are trying to analyze the union budget and the implications.
So 10 students also have joined.
Yes, actually. And they are not only analyzing it, trying to understand it, but also giving their views that some of the students said, according to me, this is right or this is wrong. Yeah, that means you are not taking sides, whether it is right or whether it is wrong. So that means there is an understanding regarding the union budget, and that has made you capable of taking a decision whether it is right or wrong. So this is the spirit which the students should have, and such analysis is required by the younger generations, because your feedback somehow is going to turn out to be very important in future years. Because as I can see from last 5-7 years, there is a focus on the younger generation. And when the younger generation participates in nation building, obviously the results will be much better. Because you are the thinkers, you think out of the box. We people at 30s and 40s and 50s, we have a rigid mindset. Because we have seen something that has put an impression on our minds, and now we can't think out of the box most of the times. But you people are actually in the process of gaining that knowledge. So I would request you to keep such sessions alive and participate more and more into these sessions. It was a wonderful experience to be here today, and thank you very much.
Alright, we hope we will have such sessions in future, and we'd like to thank all the teachers also who organized it, as my ma'am, Saroj, Shashank, and everyone, and my dear students. Alright, thank you very much. Now, in a very disciplined manner with social distancing, I hope you all will go back to your class.